Get ready for 14 odd ways of life the ancient Egyptians practiced. We often think that we are completely different from ancient people. They had these weird traditions, they spoke unknown languages and so on. But archaeology shows that we are quite wrong. What kind of operations could the ancient Egyptians perform? What games did they play? In this video, Brightside will tell you about 14 unbelievable facts about the life of ancient Egyptians, including maybe how to walk like one. You know, walk like an Egyptian. Okay, here we go. Counting down from number 14, the invented written language. This might just be one of the most important inventions ever. Without a way to record information, there would be no way to store and pass on knowledge to the future generations. The Egyptians used pictograms, which simply depicted words. Later, they added characters that look a lot like modern alphabets, which helped them to write down some abstract ideas. Maybe like how to build a pyramid. Number 13. They invented tables. This might not sound impressive, but before the Egyptians, there were no tables as far as we know. So they made this simple piece of furniture to keep the food off the ground and also for gaming purposes. This is how board games started. Ooh, Egyptian Monopoly. Number 12. They invented wigs. Because of really hot climate, most Egyptians, at least men, shave their heads. That's why when you watch a movie about ancient Egypt, most men are bald. However, some people wanted to have some kind of hair on their heads, but still be able to feel comfortable. So when they felt like it, they used wigs. And when it was very hot, they simply took them off. And here comes the gross part. The richest and noblest people wore wigs made of actual human hair, whereas common folks had wigs made of sheep wool. Number 11. They extracted iron from meteorites. Archaeologists found metal beads in an ancient Egyptian tomb. In 1911, pretty small beads were found in the north of Egypt. But why were these beads so unique? The thing is, the Egyptians started to smelt iron only 2,000 years later. So how did they get metal beads? Chemical tests show that they were made from meteorites, and another argument for this point of view is the hieroglyph that the Egyptians had, which means iron and can be translated as metal from the sky. Ooh, that's pretty chilling. Number 10. They invented toothpaste. There are several proofs that the Egyptians have been producing toothpaste since 5000 BC. As it turns out, they needed toothpaste not only for romantic dates. The Egyptians probably had very serious trouble with their teeth, because they ate food with a lot of sand in it. And of course, the sand destroyed their enamel, so they needed something to keep their teeth clean and healthy. So they invented one of the first versions of toothpaste. It consisted of ashes, burnt eggshells, and ox hoofs. Just the kind of stuff you want to put in your mouth, right? This doesn't seem like a good start of a day. Anyway, archaeologists even managed to find some guides on how to mix these ingredients to make the right paste. Is there a wrong way to make this? Another fascinating dental discovery were toothpicks that were buried together with mummies. Probably the ancient Egyptians cared about their teeth so much that they even took some tools with them to the afterlife. Number 9. They used breath mints. As you already know, the Egyptians cared about their mouths very much. In the ancient times, bad breath was as unpleasant as it is today. Even though their medicine was quite advanced, they didn't have any dentists who could help them with their bad teeth. Scientists examined mummies and found several worn-out teeth even in young people. So, to do something about the unpleasant smells from the mouth, they invented the first mints. They used myrrh and cinnamon. They boiled them with honey and made some kind of pellets. Yum. Number 8. They used antibiotics in treatment. Yes, the Egyptians kind of invented antibiotics way before the 20th century, but it looks like they didn't know it. They used moldy flatbread to cure festering wounds. They fermented something that looked like porridge that had very high levels of tetracycline, which we know as an antibiotic. However, there is no indication that the Egyptians understood why this recipe worked. So, is it really a discovery when you don't know what you discovered? Tell us in the comments. Number 7. They invented eye makeup. You've probably seen some movies about ancient Egypt. Both men and women in Egypt wore makeup. and it was a symbol of nobility. The more makeup you had, the higher your social status was. Most of the time they had black eye makeup, but they were also able to create green eye makeup using malachite. Number 6. They formed the world's first police. The world's first police were formed during the Middle Kingdom period, years 2050 to 1800 BC. It included the most loyal warriors and foreign mercenaries. The Egyptian police didn't have guns or cool badges, but they were armed with staffs and accompanied by dogs and trained monkeys. "Alright fella, you're under arrest. Fido, put the cuffs on him. Cheetah, read him his rights." Yeah, it was exactly like that too. Apart from the usual duties that police officers have today, the ancient Egyptian police had to protect tax collectors. Police officers forced the citizens to pay their taxes on time. They even had detectives who investigated the most popular kind of robbery of those times – tomb robbery. Number 5. They invented the calendar. We use the calendar to remember about important things – birthdays, appointments, new iPhone launch day, and so on. However, the Egyptians could literally die without a way to tell when the Nile would flood. If they missed that day, all the harvest was at risk. So, the Egyptians designed a system to be able to know which season it was. They had 3 seasons in a year – inundation, growing, and harvest. Each season consisted of 4 months, and each month had 30 days. If you do the math, you will see that the Egyptian year was just 5 days shy of our modern year. 5 days may not seem a lot, but it actually is. Over time, this difference will add up and the seasons would shift so much that they would be opposite. That's why the Egyptians added 5 extra days between the harvest and inundation seasons. These days served as religious holidays so that people could rest before the start of the new year. Number 4. They were the first to produce beer. You might have heard that the workers who built the pyramids were paid with 4 to 5 liters of beer a day. How could you possibly drink that much beer and get up in the next morning to work? I think we should try it. We're not sure what cure the Egyptians used for a hangover, but we can definitely conclude that brewing was at an excellent level. The Egyptians were one of the first to produce the drink. Number 3. They used door locks. Door locks were created in Egypt and China, probably because such devices were needed. The more neighbors you have, the more reasons to lock your door. The mechanisms of the lock were quite simple. There were special pins inside that didn't let anyone open the door without the key. When the owner inserted the key, it moved the pins and the person could enter the house. So now every time you lock the door and feel safe for your possessions, you know who you should be grateful to. Number 2. They played bowling. In one ancient settlement near Cairo, archaeologists found a playroom going back to 3200 BC with carved lanes and balls of various sizes for fingers. A little bit different from the modern bowling we're used to. Players stood on both sides of the lane and didn't aim to strike down the pins. The point was to throw the ball so that it goes exactly through the hole in the middle. The competitors were trying to do the same, but from the opposite end. Hey, combine the bowling with the beer and now you got a new Friday night tradition. And number 1. They treated eyes. Eye infection was a common disease among Egyptians. They used various and sometimes extraordinary methods of treatment. They used bactericidal paint and remedies made of human brains. Here is what one of the recipes looked like. Divide a human brain into 2 parts. Mix the first half with honey and apply on the eye in the evening. Dry the second half and apply in the morning. We don't know 2 things. From where they took the brains, hopefully they didn't murder anyone especially for that, and we have no idea if it helped. So, which of the facts did you know before this video, and which surprised you the most? Tell us in the comment section below. Like this video and send it to your friends. Let them learn something new. And of course, click the subscribe button to join us on the bright side of life.